So it's official. I am in love. I love you guys so much. The truth is, love is pretty contagious, and I'm trying to spread the sickness, baby. I want you to feel love the way that I feel love. But the first thing that you got to do to feel that love is to choose the right love for you. How do you know how to choose the right crystal, especially as a beginner when you're getting started? Where do you go? What do you do? Do you buy online? Do you go in person? How do you know what kind of crystal, tektite, or stone to start with? That's what this video is, guys. Stick around. The number one thing that needs to be understood is that don't overthink it. Don't overthink it, okay? Crystals are this vibrational energy, and we have that same vibrational energy about us, but we get so caught up in our ego self and our mind to think about things that we miss what crystals really are. We're seeing them as this physical thing, right? And we're using the physicality of ourselves to make these decisions, but what a crystal gives to you, what a crystal does when you work with it is at a much more core of who we are. So when choosing a crystal, you choose with your core of who you are. This can be layered in many different ways. To make what I would likely turn into a very long story, I'll make it short. Choose intuitively. Now, you might start spinning wheels and thinking, well, how do I know if it's intuitively? And that's how you know that it's not intuitively, is if you're thinking about it too much. So to choose a crystal intuitively is to not worry about what is this for, what does this do. You choose a crystal just because it feels right. There's something about this crystal where it's like you feel like you already have it. Like that connection has already been made. Now, it doesn't have to be one that you don't know what it does. It could be one that you know, like for instance, this is amethyst, so you know that it's going to be this peaceful, relaxing, third eye type crystal. It could be like that, but it could be one that you've never heard of or seen before. I would say maybe when you find it, don't necessarily start freaking out and looking online for all these answers about what it's for, who should work with it. I know it's fun when you're excited, but the thing about these crystals is that they're connecting, like I said, on a much higher vibrational scale with who we are. And the crystal wants you in a very similar way that you want the crystal. Our intuition speaks to us in many different ways, but it's always a very similar feeling. It's this feeling of you feel like there is a message for you, or like you are supposed to do something. This can happen through synchronicities as well. So for instance, a lot of the crystals that I brought into my life, especially because I'm on this YouTube channel making videos, people will consistently say the same crystal to me. Oh, you gotta try this. Or people will comment the same exact one. Or I will have seen it in a shop and have been looking at it just a few days prior, and then I'll have like a dream about it. There's all these weird things. Of course, I'm very obsessive with crystals, so my life is very filled with them. For you, it could be as simple as it's a crystal that was gifted to you. You have no idea what it is, but for some reason it was given to you and you were brought together with this crystal, then that could definitely be the way that that's working in your favor. Interestingly enough, the most profound connection that I've had with any of my crystals, tektites, or stones came from the single one that I bought not knowing about any power of crystals or anything, and I only bought it because there was something about it that I just thought looked cool. I just thought it looked cool and I wanted to wear it because it looked cool. And that is what changed my life. So this intuition, it doesn't necessarily have to be this thought process. There doesn't need to be worry. There doesn't need to be this question. It is more so just the answer of buying it and just having it. Because you don't need to walk in and buy all of them. There tends to be this one that you keep walking back and checking out and holding. There seems to be this one that you're interested in. If you're interested, then I guarantee you that that is the power of the crystal calling you in a metaphysical way. That's kind of how energy with crystals works, is what I've been learning. Now, continuing on to number two, this number two is going to seem a little bit counterintuitive to number one, which was about using intuition, because number two gets more into the thinking about it. Another way that you could choose crystals and to work with them is just think about other things that you would work with in your life. You work with tools to achieve a certain goal, right? There's something that you're trying to build or create or to be, and so we use tools to do that. That is exactly what crystals are. They are an energy manifestation tool for us to use. That is how we can use them. So when you look at it that way, it's almost as if you have an ailment, right? And this is an analogy, of course, this is not 100% the way that it is, but you have an ailment, you have a symptom, you open the medicine cabinet, and is there confusion as to what you're going to take? No. You pick the one that's going to solve the headache that you have, right? And so it's the same way with crystals. If you can think of what it is that you want to work on, you can also pick crystals in that way. An example for this is that what I've been working on with crystals and what I love the most in practice is to achieve higher states of consciousness and raise my vibration. So I seek out higher vibrational crystals. Now, this doesn't have to be something that you're seeking information for. It just comes into your life. Trust me, I know that sounds weird, but whatever you need to be working with will just fall into your life and it will all come together and make sense. A lot of people, it's really important to work with grounding stones. For me, grounding stones are my least favorite. I don't personally, like working with them that much. Not to say that they don't have their use, it's just to say that we all are individually at a different level on our process of awakening ourselves to these types of energy, these works, these tools, right? The power that crystals are. There is absolutely no right or wrong when it comes to crystals. There is only what is happening right now, which would be the crystal that you are using and having. So if, for instance, a grounding stone, the way that I look at it is, if you're too high up, it will bring you back. And if you're too low, it will bring you back. I like to go pretty high up. That's personally why I don't really like working with grounding stones. I don't really tend to go low that much. I just go high up and I like being up there, so I stay there for a lot of my time. But for a lot of people, if you're really low, it can bring you up. And a lot of people, there is really intellectual reasons why you, even if you're way up here, want to be brought back to center so you can utilize what you're learning up here. Again, I can acknowledge that for me, that's not my part of the journey quite yet. For you, what you should think about is, what is it that you're trying to achieve? Are you trying to feel more open love in your life? Are you trying to experience more creativity? Are you trying to open your third eye to the world of mystery and magic around you? These are all different layers that line up with our chakras as well, which is the second part to this number 2. This video is about how to choose the right crystal for you, not necessarily about how to open your chakras. The reason I'm bringing this up is because there's something interesting that I know a lot of people in the crystal community already know, but as a beginner, I did not know this. And when I had that aha moment of realizing it for myself, my mind was totally blown. So here's what it is, okay? And this can really help you in the beginning of your journey. This is a representation of our chakras, right? And so you've got the crown chakra, the third eye, the throat, the heart, so on and so forth. It continues. This is really cool because the colors of our chakras, like if you were to look up chakra colors online, right, you'll see some pictures. It matches perfectly with the crystals that are chosen here. You've got the throat chakra here, which, this is the hilarity of it, is my favorite. This is one of my favorites here. And this is called blue kyanite. And what it does is it allows me to speak with more verbal fluency and speak the words that are coming from inside of me and not necessarily from my mind. I know that sounds strange, but it really allows me to speak powerfully. That's what the throat chakra is all about, is speaking powerfully and speaking your truth. Notice how it's blue. Notice how it's blue in an online picture, and notice how the crystal that's doing this to me is blue, okay? My favorite crystal that allows me to experience this like love and this kind of electricity of love all around me and feel it in all aspects, my favorite one for that is moldavite, and it's green. Check it out. Heart chakra, green. Now, this doesn't always ring true, okay? There are some outliers, and there is also the case that, for instance, with moldavite that I just showed you, it works on pretty much most of the chakras. Moldavite is a really incredible crystal, though. Not all have that kind of capability, and you also don't always want that. Sometimes you want to be more isolatory in your work, right? But in that understanding and in that knowing that you can kind of color coordinate to the chakras and understand what each chakra is kind of about, you can way more powerfully make these choices for yourself and understand what this crystal might do before you even necessarily work with it. Here's number 3, which is my last point. So we know that we want to choose crystals intuitively, not necessarily with our mind. Second, we've learned how to choose with our mind. The third thing that I want to say is more so just my kind of own opinion that I'm projecting at you, but it doesn't need to be projected onto you. We all get to make our own choices. For me, I really enjoy working with a crystal before I know what it's about. I like to pick intuitively and just have it come into my life and really connect with that energy and feel what it's doing and really be sensitive and empathetic to the way that it feels. So often, I really connect with the crystal, tektite, or stone that I have, and then I look it up after the fact and I see that that is exactly how other people relate to it. And that's really magical to me and brings this kind of electrical sensation into my mind because the power of crystals is totally real. Okay, if you're a beginner, it might seem a little up here, and a little made up, and I'm saying that because that's how I thought of it, truthfully. If I had seen myself making these kinds of videos right now, I would jokingly ask, where's my tinfoil hat? That would be what I would say. So obviously I'm not wearing a tinfoil hat. I don't need a tinfoil hat because I'll work with a crystal and I feel what it does. And then I'll go and I'll see what somebody else says it does. And all these people are having very similar experiences. And it just blows my mind that we all collectively can put this information together. So often, what we feel is based on a thought that we get from somewhere else, from somebody else. And so to feel the crystal and to work with it on your own first and feel how it is with you without having any of these outside things coming in on that, I feel is very powerful. Now, that's just my own opinion there. It doesn't have much to do with how to choose a crystal, but it does reflect on choosing intuitively. Because a lot of times we will decide in our mind what we think we need and what we think we want to work with, and yet the one that we would intuitively be drawn to is something that you would have no idea that that's what you and your higher self really wanted to work on with this crystal. If I chose all my crystals based on what I read online and what I thought I wanted to work on and experience, then I would not have had 90% of the most profound changes and growth that I have had. So choose a crystal because there's something about it that just looks cool to you. Choose a crystal because for some reason you feel like you already own it. Choose a crystal because you can't stop thinking about it. Choose a crystal because you're binge watching videos about it and you're just so mystified by it, right? Choose a crystal because you're choosing it. That sounds kind of weird, but it kind of makes sense, at least to me, in saying it right now. So thank you guys for watching. If you're a beginner, there's a lot to know, there's a lot to learn, but don't be overcome by it all. It's really exciting to go through the process and be on that journey of discovering it for yourself. So don't worry. There's a lot to know, but there's nothing that you need to know. All you got to do is just grab a crystal. Just grab a crystal. Don't worry about it. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. Crystals are so beautiful. I'm so grateful, and I'm grateful to have had you here watching. So thank you so much, and I'll see you tomorrow for my next daily video. Bye.